Elijah, we know, the Elijah many of us celebrate today, it did not just appear like that. Elijah was a man that God made. 1 Kings 17. Elijah was a man that God took time to make because of the revival fire he was to send into Israel to restore the worship of him, to restore his worship in Israel. 1 Kings 17, 2-6, the Bible said, and the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, that is to Elijah, get thee hence and turn thee eastward and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. The ravens have commanded them to feed you here. So Elijah went and did according unto the word of the Lord, for he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning, and bread and flesh in the evening, and he drank from the brook. This is Elijah here in 1 Kings 17. This Elijah you know by now that we just read, this man has not called down fire. He had not called down fire. He has not demonstrated that great power, that fire fell from heaven and he killed all the prophets of Baal. Elijah had not demonstrated that here. But we see an Elijah here that took the word of the Lord, and God said, go and hide yourself. Before you will call the fire of revival in Israel, God said, go, hide thyself by the brook Cherith. Have we seen that in verse 3? This is God speaking to a man. Get thee hence and turn thee eastward and hide thyself by the brook Cherith. I wonder the process Elijah must have gone through before God made him the most notable voice in his generation. Elijah must have gone through pains, rejections. Elijah must have gone through sufferings. I want us to know that if you are going to be a deliverer to your generation, or if you're going to be a deliverer to your nation, or whatsoever in any realm, the place of tears, the place of suffering, you cannot escape that cup. Even if you pray 10,000 prayer points, if God has designed you for something strategic in your generation, you must drink that cup of suffering. You must drink. You cannot escape it. The mother of James and John said, I want my sons to sit by your right hand in your kingdom. Jesus not. Say, it is my Father in heaven that is to say. But there, can you drink of this cup that I drink? Can you drink of it? That's that cup of the suffering for the kingdom. So any man that will be used in any strategic way by God, the cup of suffering, the cup of rejection, the cup of tears, you cannot escape it. But what is there is for you to know the program of God for you. It's for you to know the timing of God. There will be times God will isolate you to be as though you are the only one existing. There is no one there for you. In all those processes, the Lord will begin to make you because of the assignment He has for you. The making of a deliverer. And the Elijah we see here, this man was in the desert. He was in the wilderness. He was in the wilderness. And one thing I want us to reckon with here is that God sent a raven to come and give him food. Imagine it was Elijah and animals discussing. You won't see any human figure in this play. Ravens, who knows how big the bird was? That particular breed of raven. It was coming to give Elijah food. Bird was coming to give the man food. Then he was drinking by the brook. The Lord began to tell me that in times like this, in this dispensation we are, that this picture of Elijah being fed by the raven and drinking from the brook, the Lord began to tell me that the feeding of the raven is a picture of the word. The raven was giving Elijah food. That is a picture of having the word of God in you. And the one of Elijah drinking by the brook is the place of prayer. Is the place of prayer. At any point when you hear of the rivers of living water, those are talking about the operations of the Spirit. And that is synonymous with the place of prayer. Elijah was drinking by the brook, and the ravens was feeding him. He was feeding on the word. But one thing specific and one thing notable here is that God said, go and hide yourself by the brook Cherith. Because this man was soon to call fire in Israel. So God wanted to take time and make him first of all. God wanted to take time and put some investment in him. Quality, eternal investment. In the making of deliverers, don't expect that Elijah will just come from the whirlwind and begin to call down fire. No. God must have made him. That's the problem we have in the church today. Somebody got born again today. A born again experience that is not even, it has not even genuinely happened. They are not even sure they are being saved. The next thing, the person wants to open a church, and the next thing, the person wants to call down fire. Not knowing that God has a making process. A making process. God said to Elijah, go and hide yourself. Go and hide yourself. It is just of recent that I've been praying, oh Lord, grant me open doors of ministry. For a very long time, I've not had the liberty in my spirit to pray it. Even though we are still running a ministry here, even though we are still ministering and people from different parts of the world are being blessed by it, I am still seeing it that God is still hiding me. God said to Elijah, go and hide yourself. The first things is not about manifestation. It is about gaining weight spiritually. Gaining weight spiritually. There are some men you will listen to on the satellite, they will minister to you 2 hours. You don't even understand what they are saying. No power of conviction in the message. It is because those ones they have not eaten by the brook. The ravens have not fed them. They have not drank by the brook. The making of the deliverer. If God is going to use you for a great purpose, God is going to also deal with you. I'm proud to say the Lord is dealing with me. We met a pastor on the mountain last year while we went. And the pastor was just busy telling us that God cannot discipline any of his child. That God cannot discipline, that if you're going through anything, you cannot say God is disciplining you. I laugh. We opened Hebrews. The exact place the Bible said is this, say that is not so. That God cannot discipline his child. A father disciplines and chastises a son that he loves. In the process of the making, God will take you through discipline. I've planted flowers before. I've done those gardeners stuff, and I know what it means to prune a flower. In the process of pruning, you will cut it to put it into shape. If you don't put it into shape, it will just grow into something that has no shape. So God prunes you. If God is pruning you, it is because he has a task ahead for you. It's because he has an assignment that is great, which is ahead for you. Please don't take this message for granted. The making of deliverers. The making of deliverers. This is 1 Kings 17. If you go through 1 Kings 18, look at 17. We had seen it all. But look at 18. It is in this 18, if you begin to read from verse 1 down, you will see that the man Elijah called down fire. And God said to him, rebuild this broken altar. Elijah rebuilt the broken altar. He told the prophet of Baal, call Baal. They called and called morning and night. Baal was not answering. Elijah said, maybe he's sleeping. Go and wake him. They did everything. Baal was not answering. Elijah said, okay, that water that is scarce. Water was scarce in Israel. Water was scarce in Israel. Water was scarce in Israel. But Elijah provided water for them. Told them, pour it on this sacrifice. Imagine something can burn easily, more easily when water has not touched it, isn't it? That's why Elijah said, pour water on this thing. They poured, he said, pour again. That's the place of sacrifice. Water was a scarce commodity in Israel. Don't forget, Elijah said with his mouth that before the Lord God of Israel, whom I stand, there shall be no rain this 3.5 years in Israel. Are you seeing? So there was no rain falling. If you have a cup of water, you are a big boy. Water was a scarce commodity. But Elijah poured water on that altar. God began to tell me that's a picture of sacrifice. If God is making you, there are many sacrifices you will make. If you are in the making process of God, there are sacrifices you will make. Sacrifices that are not convenient. If you're not a person of sacrifice, then you're not in the school of the making of God. You must be a person given to sacrifice. You must go to any length to see that you are a person of sacrifice. Not for your own selfish glory, but for the glory of God. Elijah poured water on that sacrifice. And when he called on the God of Israel, God answered by fire. Many people will picture a man that just came from nowhere and called fire, not knowing that that man was at the backside of the desert. God said, hide yourself. Hide yourself. The time of hiding is that time of building. That God will be building capacity into you. That God will be building capacity into you. There are some people in the ministry that just want their face to be on all posters. They want to be in 10 programs in one week. And that's the joy of me ministry to them. I celebrate them, but that's not what I see as ministry. The first things first is to gain weight. Gain spiritual weight. Because if you don't gain weight, the kind of whirlwind that is blowing will blow you off. Many people, whirlwind is blowing them off. Many people. The whirlwind is real. Last year before I got married. Am I saying last year? Last 2 years before I got married. A whirlwind came to me. It was one girl Satan brought my way. The devil brought her my way. Very beautiful. Just like the type of girl I would like. This one began to pursue me. You know when a girl is pursuing a man, she began to pursue me. After the first time she came to my house for mentoring, and I understood what was going on, I prevented her from coming, but she still want to come. I had to start running away. It took the grace of God that helped me. You have not seen a girl that you're told that come, I'm not interested in things like this. She said, will you not marry? Will you not marry? She was asking me, are you not going to marry? Are you going to stay like this forever? This lady gave me a gift there. Some edibles to eat. I said I cannot eat it. She said, why? I said no, I cannot. What she told me was that, what if she prayed a good prayer on the food? And in my spirit, what came to my spirit? What if you put something negative in it? I refused to eat. This one is that she pursued me to an extent I ran to Alone with God camp to stay. I ran to Alone with God in the mountain while I was praying. Phone call, she was still disturbing me. Let me tell you the truth. This person I'm talking about is a very fine lady. And had it not been that there are some things God dealt with in me, I would have fallen. You don't know what it means? You are single, you are searching. And in the process, that one came back. And with some other manifestations and such. What I'm saying is that the first things God is interested in is to make us. Is to make us. There are people that are preachers that have gone to different places for program and they end up fornicating in that place.